Dude, the portals are right there.
We have some pretty good seats.
Oh, we're on video. Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
we are on video. Yeah.
And now, gimmick infringement.
Welcome everybody to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner Tyler McDowell Blanket. But Tyler, we're not alone today. We are joined by another, I'd say, very important guest, but a recurring guest, a sort of GI alum, a GI adjacent, an honorary GI host. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, Brad. Like you said, it's an honor. It's an annual tradition. George Romero is back. G, what's good? How you been?
Doing good. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brad, for the kind words. Honored to be here. Like you said, I'm glad we were able to kind of keep the tradition going.
It is a tradition,
Yes.
George. We have so much to get into. I know so much has happened since we last had you on the show. Of course, the three of us attended AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision in Phoenix. It's Elimination Chamber weekend. We're going to talk about that show. Of course, I'm going to fit in some batch talk. George, we want to hear about how teaching and coaching, how all of that is going for you. I think it's going to be a memorable episode.
Yeah, I'm listen, there's so much that happened in the world of education. I know we're going to get to that later. And we get to talk a little bit of the shoot job and a lot of bit of what happened in the world of Graps. But first, we're going to talk about the state of 19 media groups. So play the music. Let's get into it.
Late breaking news from the world of 19 media.
Cal Lee and Warren Shaw, the Baseline NBA podcast, released two great episodes. First, they recap the good, the bad, and the ugly. Oof, a lot of ugly. The NBA All-Star Weekend 2025. Second, the guys interviewed Jake Rogal, the director of Netflix's Court of Gold docuseries, chronicling the 2024 USA men's basketball victory in Paris, to discuss the project. Follow them at NBA Baseline.
George, what did you think of NBA All-Star Weekend?
It was kind of... So what I thought was, in comparison to the Four Nations that was happening, you saw two different ways of handling All-Star breaks, where one, we're going to make it competitive. We're going to find something that motivates the players outside of just playing the game. And I actually think that the NBA kind of missed that opportunity. I know we were talking off screen about how a lot of the new talent in the NBA are from overseas. I actually think if they just made a US versus overseas team, or like world team, which they kind of do with the Rising Stars, or had done with the Rising Stars, I think if they just put that model as the All-Star game, you get a lot better product.
That's interesting. I hope Adam Silver just listened to that. George, the league needs all the help it can get. We'll see what happens next year. Okay, speaking of Warren, he welcomed a live podcast network's Angel Livis on the latest episode of Dope Interviews, in case you missed it. They discuss how she built a podcast network, an exciting new partnership with 19, and much more. Tune in and follow Warren's show at dope_interviews.
You might have to expand this the state of 19 stuff here. Shout out to 19's Desmond Powell for making a guest appearance on the Baseline last week. I thought that was one of my favorite clips. I saw it pop up. I saw Des there. I saw the guys chopping it up. It was really made me happy. In case you missed it on this most recent Hip to the Games episode, he catches you up on WNBA offseason headlines and which NBA rookies are showing out. You can follow Desmond's show at Hip to the Games.
I have some WNBA questions for George Romero later, as a matter of fact. Thank you for the reminder, Brad. Are you a music fan? If so, Jabari Davis has you covered with his We Love Music series on 19's YouTube channel. He welcomes guests to discuss the latest releases and news across the industry. I had the honor of joining him and producer Brian Jeffries on the newest installment to discuss Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime performance. Follow Jabari at Jabari A. Davis.
Gerald Brown welcomed comedian Alex Gorge on a new Heavy in the Paint. They discuss NBA news, including a disappointing Sixers season. Follow Gerald at Gerald BLSS.
Robin Nathaniel hosts Land the Talk, a show spotlighting TED speakers' journeys. Check out his most recent episode, How to Land a TEDx Talk with a Unique Topic, with guest Iris Grimm. Follow Robin at Believe, spelled BLEAV, in fantasy.
The NFL season is over, but Mo Johnson and Mike Staff of Hidden Gems Football released one more episode to put a bow on the year. They recapped Philadelphia's dominant win over Kansas City and reacted to the Jets cutting ties with Aaron Rodgers. Also, check out the season finale of Mike's solo show, The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steff. Entertainment, politics, sports. Mike covers it all. Follow them at Mike Steffens _ and at APowerMojo. Do you guys think that the New York Jets kind of classy, I think a very nice gesture, of saying goodbye to Aaron Rodgers, their release, like, thank you for all you did. What did he do? What's your most memorable moment of New York Aaron Rodgers? What's your most memorable moment? Because I know what mine is, and it involves running out with the American flag.
That's my answer.
That's
George.
it.
Yeah. It's the only one I can point
Yes.
to is running out and tearing his Achilles, and then everything else happened on like McAfee.
Yeah, like the announcement of the Devontae Adams trade. That's what he did.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which I'm sure that's sitting super well. Really strange thing. I'm curious to see what happens with him. Ultimately, as much of a weirdo as I think he has shown himself to be, I kind of hope he retires as a Packer. I need him to go back and just retire as a Packer, and hopefully they can figure all that out in the future. I think it's a little ways off, but I don't know what his next move is. Sounds like he still wants to play, so more power to him. But the last 3 seasons or so, the last 2, can't really count last year, have not been great. So we'll see what happens there. All I know is that there's a lot of decisions to be made there. Football season's a long ways away, but basketball season is not a long ways away. Basketball season is heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed when you use the promo code CLNS. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts and is available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Prize Picks is truly the best way to win real money with all the various opportunities to play and collect your winnings. Due to the enormous selection of players and stat types available, we can mix and match our playing strategies based on personal preferences. I might take Cade Cunningham, and I will, for more than 7 assists. Tyler might select Kevin Durant for more than 27 points or maybe a trade. Do you think Steph Curry will get more than 5 3-pointers next week? Giannis for more than 35 points? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. And for those of you who love a quick win, Prize Picks is the way to go. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Remember, with Prize Picks, it's as simple as picking more or picking less. Again, that's promo code CLNS to get $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. Gimmick infringement is rocking with Prize Picks, and you should too. Prize Picks, run your game. Whew, I need a drink. We need to head into Graps talk, and I know we have a lot to talk about. We are headed into Elimination Chamber fast. The Elimination Chambers are pretty much set. We had matches on there that were really exciting ads, and some that tried to sell me on them, and I don't know that I'm sold on them quite yet. And I think you know which one I'm talking about, Ty. Let's get into it. We're going to talk WWE. Tyler, lead us off.
Quick recap of the week. Penta remains undefeated on Raw. I actually caught the YouTube video with him and Sheamus's workout series. I saw it popped up on my algorithm that Penta appeared on there. Seems like a really chill dude, really good guy. And I thought they had some pretty cool chemistry. Awesome. So maybe a future tag team until Rey Fenix comes around. We'll see. But anyway, Penta, great addition to the Raw roster. I'm sure the merch is flying off shelves. Ricky Starks is now Ricky Saints over on NXT. Obafemi crossed the line to appear on TNA Impact. And in case you guys haven't heard, The Rock wants Cody Rhodes' soul. Okay. Steph Watch, quick moment for Stephanie Vaquer. She, Jordan Grace, and Julia closed NXT victorious, defeating Fatal Influence. Now, Brad, you queued me up. Elimination Chamber Toronto is this weekend. George, you've met Trish Stratus in real life. We're getting Trish in a tag match. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn is going to be unsanctioned. And, of course, the 2 chamber matches. I want to discuss the women's chamber match. The right to face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania is on the line. Brad, George, we got Liv Morgan versus Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss versus Bayley versus Naomi versus the prodigy Roxanne Perez. Who should win?
George, I'll let you go because I have to delete part of my question.
So I really hope that it's not Liv Morgan, because I don't want to see Liv Morgan versus Rhea again.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same way I feel about Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, but different conversation. I actually think the best thing they can do right now is build up a new talent, and that's Roxanne. I think if you put the prodigy against Rhea, they've had some good run-ins in the past. Let's do it on the main roster. Let's have them. I don't think it'll happen, but that is my far-fetched idea, is let Roxanne cook.
Listen, I got to do a new question. Because you're answering all of my original question here was Roxanne decided to the Elimination Chamber. The current lineup is Roxanne, Bayley, Naomi, Alexa, Liv, and Bianca. What do you think Roxanne's chances are? And who do you think wins the Elimination Chamber? So Tyler, thank you for stealing all of that. I should have known better. You and I just love women's wrestling. So of course, this is the way we were going to go. I also think that Roxanne is the move, and it would be a validating thing to have for her to be like, she just won Chamber, was final 2, because there's already stories in there. So like Roxanne and Bayley, Alexa really doesn't have anybody in there she's feuding with unless Candace shows up. So I guess Alexa and Liv make sense there. I think Naomi and Bianca, it's going to be like they'll be in there and they'll start fighting a little bit. Maybe that's when we get Jade come back and find out that one of those 2 actually are the ones that injured Jade. I don't know why I brain farted there. So I would love to see Roxanne win and then have that moment at WrestleMania to really build her up, because that would like allow her to get some matches in under her belt on the main roster. It'd be an easy way to call her up and instantly give her like credibility heading up, despite her lasting so long in the Royal Rumble. It just feels like they get it and are like, this is a talent we cannot miss with her. We should push her to the moon. I don't think she'll win. I'm just hopeful that she will, and I want her to. So I'm going to take her. Tyler.
Wow. I did not expect those responses from you guys. Okay, here's my thought, and let me know if I'm tripping. I can see this match being used as a vehicle to accelerate the feud between Bayley and Roxanne Perez. I have Roxanne slotted for a one-on-one match against Bayley at either WrestleMania, night 1 or night 2. Similarly with Liv and Alexa, I could see them doing some business at Mania, which leaves me with our tag team champions, our great tag champs, Naomi and Bianca Belair. Guys, I'm going with the EST here. My only concern is if we've already slotted in Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton as being a night 1 main event, and then night 2 being Jay versus Gunther. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you win Royal Rumble, you not only get a title shot, but you are main eventing Mania. To me, a matchup at Mania between Bianca and Rhea, that's night 2 main event written all over it. So I don't want that match to be an afterthought. Yeah. But I really think this is Bianca's chamber match to win. I don't know how Jade Cargill factors into all of this. Great point by you, Brad. We keep getting the teases that, her return could be forthcoming. Security footage is being released.
Give me heel Bianca, please.
Yeah. And the women's division is so loaded. I don't know that we should have certain talents holding multiple championships because it's so stacked right now. But if there was one person to be the exception to the rule, it's Bianca Belair. I'm going to ride with the EST. I think she leaves Toronto victorious.
Maybe Naomi is the one that attacked Jade then, so she could be the tag champ, right? Like it was Bianca and Jade, not Naomi and Jade. So maybe Naomi's jealous. Maybe she gets in the way and is like, no, this should be our friendship, not her. She's new, whatever. Maybe that's the story there. And I think heel Naomi could also be awesome. And I think she's an easier person to turn. Bianca's just so beloved by everybody that I think for the audience sake and all the little girls that look up to her, I think that might be a harder turn.
You know one of those little girls. In fact,
yeah, I think if that happens and we're watching, Freya might be in tears, and she doesn't even watch regularly. She'd just be really upset. Like, why is she bad? Why'd she do that? She won't understand.
To your point, Brad, either way, I think it's going to be jarring, whether it's Bianca or Naomi. Either one, two of the most beloved members of the roster, men or women's roster. But at this point, I think we would agree, George, correct me if I'm wrong. Let us know your POV. Who attacked Jade Cargill? It has to be Bianca or Naomi, no?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm on the same boat. I hope it's Bianca. I kind of feel that Bianca and Cody are in the same boat where a heel turn would mean so much for them right now. It could further them so much more, like launch them into the stratosphere, essentially. And I would like to see Bianca and Rhea at Mania. For Graps purposes, like that is such a good main event. But like you said, I'm not sure that it would main event. It would be kind of like what they did with SummerSlam a few years ago, where, oh, we have 3 main events. Well, you don't.
Right. Yeah. So are you of the mindset that you don't want to see that match if it's going to be anything short of the main event this year in Vegas?
Yeah, absolutely. I would rather see Jade versus Bianca and have them fight at WrestleMania.
Yes. Jade's first WrestleMania singles match against Bianca Belair would be incredible. I want to see Roxanne and Rhea, because if it's Bianca and Rhea, it'll be really fun, but it's just going to be a Haas fest with 2 or 3, like Bianca's going to do like a backflip onto Rhea and maybe one of them jumps off the top rope once, maybe, but otherwise it's just going to be feats of strength and I'm going to be bored. Even though it'll be awesome, it'll be slow and there'll be like 5 things that happen. You throw Roxanne in there with Rhea and now you have giant Haas against tiny, fast technical machine. I think that could be really, really, really fun, because just as juxtaposition of styles. Bianca can kind of do whatever, Rhea can do whatever, but we know that within that WWE style, they're going to end up doing like those playing to their strengths, literally in this case. And I've just seen so many different versions of that. I'm not ready to see it. I would love to see Rhea wrestle somebody smaller and faster, because I think it's something we haven't seen from her in a long time. And we know that's going to happen with Jade and Bianca. That's also going to be a Haas fest, but that story's sitting there. It's just sitting right there. So sometimes the obvious thing is what to do, where Bianca and Rhea, they've teased that forever and we've seen it. And I'm sure it'll be great, but I would rather it be Jade and Bianca. I like the feats of strength thing. I just don't know where that leaves other matches. If we end up having other Haas's in there, then we're watching the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't want to see that, because the women deserve to show out and not just do the 3, what is it? The 5 moves of doom that CM Punk coined it. Yeah. I don't really want to see that, because we know that Rhea's a Haas. I would love to see her do technical counters to stuff. And I think that could be really fun.
What do we think on the men's side of things? And I'm going to try to just combine this before we leave WWE talk. The men's.
I have a question.
Oh, okay. I thought we.
No, I'm good.
I thought we agreed. My question was okay.
I think you got into my notes and stole it. So, my question, fellers, The Rock wants Cody's soul.
Okay.
First, this is kind of a joke question, but first, is this a callback to BTE when Cody was possessed? Second, what is your temperature check on the presser when wrestlers break character, like The Rock being like nice guy, good comments about talent right after saying he wants Cody's soul? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that character breaking?
Gee.
George, go ahead.
So I don't love it personally, like character breaking, or in his press conference saying that, oh well, these characters don't need to have a match to resolve their issues. Um,
Yeah.
I think it takes away from what we're all here for. Like we're here for stories that are translated into the ring. That's or that culminate in the ring, and that's how you like quote unquote settle your problems in this arena. But
Literal.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I think the best thing they can do right now is, like I said with Bianca, is turn Cody heel, because so far I don't think he's uh, kind of done anything out of the norm with his character. He does a lot of run-ins. He defends the title against the same people. I want to see him do something different, and I think that The Rock taking his soul means that you become corporate Cody, and we see that corporate Cody heel in WWE.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yes to what George said. I have so many questions though about what we saw on SmackDown between The Rock and Cody, and then Brad, as you mentioned, the presser that followed. And perhaps that's maybe I'm just a mark, and that's what WWE wants me to do. Is we're talking about it obviously here on our episode, and I'm definitely going to tune in to see what is next for this. My only issue though is, well, I believe this leads to John Cena winning this weekend at Elimination Chamber to set up Cena versus Cody at Mania. But two, and maybe this is forthcoming, guys, why would Cody consider Rock's offer? They were just beefing last year, and we know they made up on the Netflix premiere, and their moms are friends, and that's cool. I like Papa Tui as well. George, you and I have bonded over this. We both used Papa Tui shampoo. But if I'm Cody Rhodes, I already have fame, wealth. I'm already
Yeah.
able to pay for Liberty's college, her 4 years of college. What? I don't know that I need to be the Rock's champion. So my issue is just, okay, well, what else is attached to this? If it's just what we saw on Friday, I could take you to places you've never been. I can X, Y, and Z. I was looking for a little bit more, but I do give them credit because this coming so full circle that The Rock was the corporate champion, right,
Yes.
years ago. And now Cody essentially being offered that same opportunity. There's a lot of elements to this that call back to previous years, whether, like you said, Brad, whether it's BTE or whether it's, the Attitude Era with The Rock as a heel champ. So I do appreciate that. And these two guys are so skilled that I'm sure it's going to be great. But just based on Friday and the promo, which I thought was a bit lackluster from
terrible.
The Rock,
Yeah, it's not a
the
good
Rock's
promo.
kind of been, and you guys know I'm one of the biggest Dwayne Johnson fans, but it seems like he's been on a string of. I remember being in the classroom, and there were days where I didn't have everything as planned as I wanted to, and I would just kind of roll with an idea and just go with it. That's what I see in some of these promos lately from The Rock. I think he has an idea, but he's just kind of going with it. Whether it was that NXT appearance, whether it was this, it was like, I don't know that this is good.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. I have questions, which is I think what they want me to be feeling, but I just don't know that the offer should be all that enticing for Cody as it stands now. I think he already has all that The Rock is offering. He's made events at Mania. He's ostensibly the face of the company. I think he's in a good spot as a babyface, but I agree with you, George. Character-wise, I'm excited to see what he can do as a heel.
I think Fightful Select said that it came together kind of last minute, and that The Rock does not have a writer. He doesn't have writers for his promos, so he really does just go out there and do it.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
So yeah,
it shows. Yeah.
yeah, and that's fine. That's the way it used to be done. And
yeah, for sure.
He'd sit down and go like, "No, I'm going to do it like this instead," and that's pretty dope.
He's earned that right.
Yeah, totally. As a motorcycle scoots by, we had a helicopter fly over. I don't know, like 3 feet above our roof this morning. The whole place was shaking.
Is the final boss landing in Miranda?
I don't know, but for those of you in listener land or viewership land that heard about, I don't know, you guys might not have heard about the airplanes that are crashing. I don't know if you've heard this.
I did hear about
but there was a Miranda, airplane crash. It was 2 planes collided with each other, 2 dead. Crazy. So when I hear a helicopter going very close to the roof of my house after all that happened last week and the week before. A little nervous this morning when I'm getting ready. Anyway, speaking of helicopters, I'm sure The Rock, flew in, flew out. Or it took his giant truck. One of the two things happened. Anyway, I don't love the pressers when the characters break. I think it's fine to talk about all of that stuff. We know what the deal is. If we do interviews in a wrestling company and then we do pressers that are interviews in the wrestling company, I never know when to shut off my, this is a character brain versus, it's too connected. And I think, you could say it's pretty easy to separate by going like, well, it happened backstage. It happened during the show. That's the show. At backstage at the news conferences, that's not the show. But sometimes they go to a weigh-in as a press conference at a UFC thing, and then there's beef. And that's what set up the Mania match was Cody getting slapped by The Rock last year. And when The Rock was like, no, I'm going to wrestle in your stead. That happened. So it's at a presser, but then they did story outside of that. They do it digitally outside of that. Then you do a presser. Is that part of it? Because sometimes it is. It's confusing. And maybe I'm just looking too much into this and how many people are actually watching all these things outside of being shown it on TV. Like an actual normal person fan. None of us are that. We're probably looking at it like, oh yeah, that's crazy. I wish I would have watched that. To get you to tune into something that's ultimately a press conference. I think about it a lot. Wrestling press conferences are often pretty fun because we get little morsels and tidbits where it's like a game press conference. You get the same regurgitated crap from athletes where it's like, yeah, we just didn't execute. We, we put it all out there. We just didn't play well enough. And it's like, oh my God, just press, copy, paste over and over and over again at these press conferences. WWE, AEW, whatever wrestling promotion, press conferences are weird. Because they're in character or they're not.
Well, I was going to say, even the contrast of WWE, I think you said it perfectly. After the show those are the genuine character or the genuine person, because even when Bayley won the title, she was still a heel at that point or in between. And then she's a baby face in the press conference saying how just she's so grateful. But when you go contrast to AEW champions, I don't think they drop character outside of their press conferences.
Some of them do though, Bryan Danielson. He just went back there as Bryan Danielson, not the wrestler. Just I'm Bryan. I'm talking about how we put the story together and all this stuff, and it's but then MJF can come out and never not be MJF.
Or Tony Storm never drops timeless.
Always timeless Tony.
Gimmick. Yeah.
Right. It's just there seems much more uncontrolled. AEW seems do whatever. But in WWE, Roman and Paul don't really drop character all the way, but sometimes they do. They stay in between it. And now it's I don't know, what's story here? And maybe that's the goal, is get people invested and go I'm never quite sure what real life is and where the character stops and starts. And that's the goal of wrestling, is to kind of get us invested in that whatever's on our screen and buy into it. And we know the best storylines always have an element of realism to them. But it's just I don't know how I feel about it. I think dropping, the only thing I didn't really like about the press conference was, Tyler, to your point and what you said was it doesn't have to be a match. I agree. I actually think that's fine. I have no problem with it. Everybody else seems to have a problem with it. The reason I don't have a problem with it is he didn't say it doesn't have to be a match in the way that it's not going to be a match. I think what he was saying is it doesn't have to be a match with he and I. It can be a match with other people. I make his life hell. In order to help him, I will take his soul. And that will be that transition part into that heel persona. I can totally see that happening. Make him miserable so that he'll do anything for corporate greed and become corporate Cody.
Right. And prior to their in-ring segment, Rock took Cody out of the 6-man match. Cody approached Nick Aldis, and I mean, it makes sense in character. As The Rock said on screen, as a character, he is the most important person in the TKO boardroom.
Right.
That's cute.
And that's still the storyline, right? There's nothing that would take that away. It would still be a good story. Because last year watching him wrestle, he still looked pretty good. I was actually surprised at how good he looked, given his age and how many years he wrestled, on top of his weightlifting injuries and injuries from filming and doing stunts and stuff like that.
All the times he jumped out of cars on the Fast and Furious set. And
yeah.
I don't know.
I would know
this, but he broke his arm and flexed his way out of a cast.
Yeah,
I know you saw that, George.
Yeah,
I know you did.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah. Man, those movies are unwatchable. I don't know how you guys do it. It's just eye poison.
I will say I fell asleep during that movie.
Well, I watched the
we didn't need that detail.
The very last one. The very last one showed up on was it X? Was on TV or streaming or something. It was on, and I watched about 5 minutes, and I was like, "Yep, still terrible," and just click, gone. Couldn't watch it. And I know that was sort of a universal experience for people. Was that whole movie was terrible, but I love the first one. I haven't watched it since the second one. Tokyo Drift just ruined it.
I was going to say Tokyo Drift or Too Fast or Furious. You got to specify.
Doesn't matter. I really don't. It doesn't matter.
All right.
No.
Brad is watching G.I. Joe. If nothing else, consistent.
Yeah, I am. Speaking of consistent, we are always here to give you our takes about recent events, about crap that we watched, like the Fast series. Emphasis on crap. And speaking of crap, we have a What Happened Here, Linda McMahon's new gig edition. So play the music.
What happened here?
So, Brad, and George, this is a bit of a follow-up, if you will. Brad, I know we spoke about this weeks ago. I'm pretty sure it was on air for GI as well.
Yeah, it was.
This is truly an edition of What Happened Here, where our two worlds are colliding: pro wrestling and education. And frankly, we have the perfect guest whose world revolves around these two areas and more. There is more to us than just these two, but a big portion of our lives are spent, thinking and discussing these two topics. So, someone has a new gig. You're spot on, my friend. Linda McMahon, the Senate committee has advanced her nomination as Secretary of Education. Of course, nominated. Of course, yeah.
It's a funny appointed. It's just a really funny appointment. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So obviously, no surprise, she served in the previous Trump administration as the czar of the SBA, or Small Business Administration, and now she's moving over. Disappointment, at least, moving over to leading the Department of Education, or whatever it will be called in the future. So there's a lot of different directions we can take this, guys. I want to point out one observation and then ask you guys a question. I was watching her committee hearing about a week or so ago, and right behind her, we see two very familiar faces in Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. I believe Shane McMahon was reportedly there with his wife. I think it was a little bit off the camera, if you will. So we can't not address this as, all the major players in the room. My question for you guys is, as two of the most dedicated educators I know, how are you feeling about where we're at? There's certainly a lot. This sounds ridiculous. Certainly a lot of uncertainties in terms of what this could mean for education, for public schools in particular. But again, as two guys who I look up to, who are doing great work, I know you guys approach your campus every day and you think about doing what's best for kids. It doesn't matter political affiliations or whether they want Cody to turn heel or not. You are just there to serve and to give your best. How are you feeling, and what is keeping you motivated during this very volatile time?
George, I'll let you go.
So, as far as motivation, I've always said this, the motivation for me is the kids, and ultimately that's who we have to keep in mind. And me as an educator, I do have to put that my thoughts aside, because it's ultimately what I can do for the kids. Now, if I focus on the outside of it, very discouraged in the sense of, this is your choice. In my realm of special education, we're almost entirely federally funded. And if that department cuts back money the way that everything else has been cut back, like talking about Doge, like how they're just supposedly slashing money from different departments. You know, that's a big deal. And I think people are not really thinking about the little guy, in a sense, like Title I especially. And it's so discouraging to see that something I truly believe in public education can just be kind of cast aside, where this, and I've said this before about education. Education allows you access and opportunity. And we're just going to cut that out for so many students because we're putting it in the hands of a person who's disregarded so many other people and has swept things under the rug for so long. Or like, if you really go back into like, just what kind of character does this person have? This person was aware of so many allegations against their spouse at the time, and they were just okay with taking the money and sweeping it under the rug. Like anything.
Alleged sexual assault, in one instance, allegedly involving a minor.
Like,
it's not great.
What kind of quality of character are you putting out there that's going to run our public education system?
Yeah, I don't really have much I can offer there as far as additions. It makes me sad. I guess the way that I deal with it is same thing. It's focused on the kids, focused on the students, and it's kind of all I can do. Try to control something. Well, a friend of ours recently said, go out and affect your community positively and put good work out into the community, and try to help those that you feel like need to be helped. And that's all you can do. Because ultimately, if I spend all of my energy and efforts on worrying about what might happen, then I've spent all of my energy, because it'll take a lot. It'll make me crazy. But that being said, I'm not going to sit here and not say it's kind of hilarious. Like, you got appointed, at least it got moved farther. You're going to get appointed to a job to get fired. Like, your job is fire yourself, the end. And I just find that hilarious. Like, it's just one of those funny things where it's just, you just got appointed by the president, the U.S. Congress. Why? So you can get yourself fired. I don't know. I kind of love that. I don't want it to happen, but I kind of love it because at least it's funny. Because if I can't find the funny, I'm going to go crazy too.
When I saw Linda McMahon get tombstone pile driven by Kane years ago, I just never thought.
Is that the wheelchair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just never thought in a billion years that she would be the czar for.
Or that both of those people would be in politics.
And I think that's when Vince started cheating on Linda, but as a character on screen.
Yeah, it's just, at least we still have Trish Stratus. George, what was it like meeting Trish Stratus before we get on to AEW talk? I know we highlighted that she's going to be wrestling at Elimination Chamber. You are the only person on this call that has met her IRL. How was that experience in Tucson?
Oh, she was super nice. A lot shorter than I thought, because she's so big time. Like
the aura.
The aura, yeah.
Yeah, 10-foot.
You met Trish and Lita
exactly.
at the signing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were both really nice. Again, I was kind of at a loss for words when meeting them, because I was at that aura of, oh my God, this person's been doing it in the company for years and is an icon and trailblazer in this profession. So, I mean, yeah, she's truly like an icon in our sport.
Both are legends and still doing it. Absolutely incredible. That should be a fun show this weekend. Well, fellas, speaking of fun shows, the synergy today, Brad.
Well done.
What this is what we do. People shouldn't be surprised. Okay, guys, speaking of fun shows, we got to talk AEW. I have much less of a preamble for this one. We attended AEW in Phoenix. We saw Dynamite. We saw Collision. I have a two-part question for you, and George, I would love for you to begin. What did you think of the overall experience going to a smaller venue? And secondly, who were your biggest winners from the night?
So switching to the smaller venue was a world of difference. I think it translated so much better on screen. And I told you this, I think the fact that they've scaled down the arenas that they're going to, it's made the product seem a little bit more, I would say almost grittier and better for fans. Like the fan experience is better. Especially this time when we went through, we got closer and it was like more in your face. We got to see a lot more of the production, which was super cool. And also in a rewatch of Dynamite, being able to see like, oh, I remember these camera guys being placed here, or I remember certain things being shot from this direction for the purpose of like either hiding something or like to make it seem a lot bigger than it was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the experience overall, I think the biggest winners were us as the fans, and then going into it, like the performers themselves. I think there was a lot more like fan interaction this time around.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Yeah, just looking back, like the Yuta chants that were going on, the Nick Wayne chants that were going on.
Not
like,
positive chants, by the way.
Not positive, but for them to be able to like play up those heel characteristics of like interacting with us even more, or you didn't see it, but MJF throwing the gum out into the fans and then throwing it back at him immediately.
Yeah, that was great.
Pretty great.
Yeah, that was great.
So I think it just made it made it feel so real, and kind of what I really liked about AEW to start was it was that gritty alternative.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that end, man. Like it felt very close to what it felt like a couple of years ago. You know, the stuff that the fans on TV didn't get to see is we got to, like, you could kind of tell when it was commercial break, because I think during the street fight, Bill started saying stuff to the fans that definitely didn't make it to air, outside of probably picture in picture. I have not watched. I have not had time. Cope taking the cowboy hat from somebody and walking around with the cowboy hat on. The greatest wrestler alive, Max Caster, like butt crawling his way on his face, like scooting his butt up and then like scooching across the stage. I need to put that video up because it's really, really funny after Brody killed him. That was the first thing we saw. That was the other thing. My biggest winner from that week or from that event, I can't say fans because that was taken already. Although like we had a great experience the entire time. Loved the venue. I thought that venue was really cool. I think it's weird having them come out down a ramp where there's no like high-fiving happening because there's no ramp. It was the entrance went to the stage. And for those people that watched it on TV, it didn't go to the stage. It went to the stage at the theater. Like this was the theatrical stage where the Dynamite stage was set up and Collision stage was set up. The stage was on stage. I cannot emphasize that enough because Jess and Cindy were Jess's mom were asking me about it, going like, well, how did it set up in a theater? And I'm like, you were there watching a show at a theater. So if you were in the seats, it was just like, oh, there's the theater, there's the stage, it's right there.
Right, very different experience than going
totally,
down the road to where the Suns and Mercury play at Footprint.
Well, it was like the front row where the ring was set up and where our chairs were, where the barricade was essentially where the orchestra pit is. So you could just imagine like a full band down there, and then where the ramp was the start of the stage. I just thought that was really cool. My winner this week was just the tech crew, watching them put together all of this. Like I don't understand how you call a show like this, because knowing now how to program all of this stuff and then call it, the prep work, the testing everything, the making sure sound is good. And it was good. It was very loud, but they weren't setting it up for the people right next to the stage. We're setting it up for the people that were up in the balcony. The sound sounded really great. The Tron was cool, but like the ring lights, the lights for the entrance, the lights over the entrance, the lights for the ring, all the moving lights that go everywhere. The simplicity of like what they did for entrances made me happy. When I saw Hangman's entrance and I was watching the lights on the wall and they were kind of like the big yellow dots that were spinning, and I was like, oh, that's just a rotating gobo. That's really cool. I thought it was like some fancy crap they were doing, and it's like, no, it just spins. It's just on the spin setting with their giant moving lights, which I got to find out what those are because we need some of those. And I just thought it was so cool. Like, to watch them pull all of that off, it worked the entire time. Everything seemed pretty seamless. Nobody got hurt when there was pyro for Julia's entrance. And those flames were not small little flames. Those flames were like 20 feet in the air, jetting out of the floor.
You caught a great live photo of that, by the way.
Yeah, it turned out that pic turned out really good. I got 2 of them, and that one that you put up there was like, wow, the flames looked incredible.
It was big time.
All of it. There's the shot of her on the rope from the back. From the front, Julia's sitting on the rope staring into the hard cam, but from the back, she's got this really long coat, and it just made her look like 11 feet tall when she's on the top rope, and it made her look kind of eerie and creepy, which is the vibe. But I just thought it was really cool. Really fun night, but I got to go. The winners there were for me were the Tech Crew. How about you?
I was really happy to see the reception that number one, the Hurt Syndicate received.
That was awesome.
Phoenix loved them. Samoa Joe, if there is a wrestler that has a 100% approval rating across every fan base, and I'm going to use that word volatile again, in this perpetually volatile internet wrestling community that we're a part of. So I think everyone just agrees that Samoa Joe is awesome and will be in every Hall of Fame one day. So it's great to see him. My biggest winner, though, I do agree with George in terms of the fans. The fact that we're getting Double or Nothing from Glendale.
Hey, easy.
It's a big
look. Thank you.
My biggest winner, though,
taking the question
is again. That's funny. I almost did it again. Timeless Toni Storm. Huge. Massive reception for her. The character work. I know, guys, we talk about how
her Dynamite promo is so good.
It was so good. Yeah. How we often talk about how incredibly deep this roster is on the men's side, on the women's side. Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Mercedes Moné, Chris Statlander. By the way, Megan Bayne, also very popular in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But to me, you can put Toni Storm up against anyone in the company as being as important as any of the people I mentioned. She is a face of AEW, and the character work, the whole timeless Toni Storm persona, it's so unique. It's so perfect. I think one of her lines from that promo, correct me if I'm wrong, was "The tramp is once again the champ."
Yes.
And then she said some other things that I won't repeat on this this air.
Probably not for
but you. It was just a reminder of, oh my gosh, she was maybe 9th or 10th on the depth chart in WWE. Then she comes over to AEW. She finds this timeless character. And I think it's as important of a character as anyone on AEW's roster right now. So great seeing her live once again. And like you guys, I really enjoyed the show. And it was just a really fun time and a great pivot to the Arizona Financial Theater as opposed to Footprint this time.
Yeah, I thought, well said. I thought, great call. Some of my favorite shots. I didn't know how it was going to look on screen with her backlit by the giant spotlight with a tiny little bit of front lighting coming from the other side of the ring lights. And when I saw it, I knew it was going to be dark, but seeing her made it look like she was glowing from the back. I thought that was a really cool light setup. That's why I was thinking about tech while we were doing it, because I got shots of them doing lights for different things, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. We could use this. This is a really cool thing." Yeah, really, really, really cool. My question, fellas. This was our third live Phoenix AEW event. Now, Tyler and I went to the episode of Raw filmed at I had to look it up, the Desert Diamond Arena, not the Gila River Arena, but the Desert Diamond Arena, where Double or Nothing is taking place May 25th, and we will be in attendance in Phoenix So, guys, what are you hoping for as a live experience at an AEW pay-per-view? And Tyler, you can maybe speak to the venue. So I'm thinking venue, I'm thinking logistics, I'm also thinking in-ring stuff. What are you hoping for this event? Tyler, well, George, you go first.
So I think we've kind of touched on it off screen that it's at Westgate. So there's like a big shopping mall, like sort of mall, outdoor mall over there. I hope that it's kind of interactive, almost like an experience that they kind of take over that area. Like, let's kind of throw a big party for all of AEW here. That would be really cool, like for them to promote it that way. Of like, you guys, Arizona has earned this, so we're gonna give it to you. And TK actually has spoken to what we believe, I think, as well, of AEW does pay-per-views like no other. Like, as we're talking about Chamber this weekend, there's 4 matches. Like AEW, you get 10 to like 8 to 10 matches. Some of those hit the 30-minute mark. There's storytelling within the ring. I'm really excited to see that and see how it comes together in that way, because AEW also does a really good job of pay-per-views where the time in between matches is so short. Like, let's keep it moving. Let's keep these people interactive. And I think they do a good job of pacing their pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that. In total, I think we were there for 5 hours here. I would expect that maybe a little bit more come Double or Nothing. So I'm really excited to see that and how it works. And because I'm sure we're also going to get like a 0 hour.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So we're going to get that as well.
I'm going to give you guys credit and simultaneously tell on myself, you guys were at AEW for 5 hours. Right as Chris Jericho entered, I said, I give you guys a heads up. I said, no, I'm out of here. I don't need to see this. And then Jericho won. He beat Bandito. I did not expect that. But I want to talk about things that make me excited. George, I completely agree with you. This is kind of an ode to Brad in a way. I'm excited to see a pay-per-view set live. The only other pay-per-view I've been to in wrestling was SummerSlam. I want to say 03 or 04. Sable was on the poster. It was an Elimination Chamber main event featuring Goldberg and Biker Shorts, Triple H. I think it was then America West Arena. So it's been a couple of decades easily since I've seen a pay-per-view, live in our city, in my city here. I can't wait. I'm excited to see the set. It's no secret that Double or Nothing is my favorite AEW pay-per-view. Aesthetically, the history of it, all the stars are aligning for me this May. I can't wait. I really want to see Mercedes Moné live. I don't believe I've seen Mercedes. I definitely haven't seen Mercedes. I don't think I've even seen Sasha Banks live. I was hoping we would see her live and in color this past week. We didn't. We just got the backstage segment, which was fun. But I'm banking on that, pun intended, happening at Double or Nothing at Desert Diamond Arena. George, I love your idea of maybe this could be like an AEW takeover, if you will, for the weekend, where there will be other opportunities, whether it's signings or fan experiences. As you pointed out, George, Westgate would be a perfect area to do that. There's a shopping center. There's State Farm Stadium where the NFL's Cardinals play. There's just a lot happening in that vicinity. I think AEW could easily put on some other events for fans. I hope, folks show up and show out for it, but Mercedes is at the top of my list. And I really think this could be the show, Brad, where we see Jon Moxley losing the AEW World Championship. Revolution is coming together really nicely. I don't think he's losing to Cope at that show. However, I think Double or Nothing is the show that he'll drop the title. I suspect that'll be to a returning Darby Allin if he's not climbing Mount Everest at that time. But I think we could be in store for a major title change.
That's fair.
And hopefully we will see the CEO in action.
I was trying to look up what's happening around that time. Because in May, that weekend is also Memorial Weekend. So Memorial Day weekend, I was looking at hotel prices. Woof. Memorial Day weekend is not only a weekend pricing, but a holiday weekend pricing where people are traveling and stuff. I know a lot of people camp and whatnot. I'm good. Give me a hotel, please. Maybe one with a pool. Trying to make plans for this. I didn't see anything else. I could see them totally doing it. I don't know. There might be a lot of stuff in Westgate that's even closed because of the holiday weekend rather than being open. Not only is it on a Sunday, but it's on a Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So it might be kind of quiet and dead, which would be the perfect opportunity for AEW to set up shop and take over that area, because literally nothing else will be happening there. More than likely. I don't know what people's, business practices are over at Westgate, but I don't know how many places are closed on Sundays, and I don't know how many places are like, hey, it's a holiday, we're a mom and pop. There's something in Pickles I saw was a restaurant. There's the only event that I saw in there. There's a Sunday
Chicken
brunch.
and pickle.
There you go.
Pickleball is big out here.
That's what it is. It's not chicken and pickle like a good sandwich. It's chicken and pickleball.
It's double entendre Jones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when I hear chicken, I think pickleball.
We're gonna get Brad to go to chicken and pickle. Don't you wait. This is gonna come full circle.
What kind of? Hold up.
Clip. Make sure we clip this. Production team.
Yes,
this needs to be clipped, please.
Yes. Before I say, I'm looking forward to all the things you said. Moving on, I need to know what kind of chicken they're serving at this place. What do we got?
I've never been. I've just heard about it.
Very good. All right. What did we miss, guys?
Oh wait, are we gonna get my Rose segment in?
Oh yeah. Let's do that. I skipped.
What we missed?
We missed this whole bunch of
we
roses.
missed the roast.
Can we hit the music, please?
Yeah, hit the music. Get your shit together, production team.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
Staring into a mirror.
It's a closet.
Okay, we are going to get back on track here very quickly. The Bachelor. I think this is episode 4 now of Grand Season 29. A few quick notes for you guys. Biggest headlines coming out of this episode: Rose self-eliminates. There was a lot of talk amongst Bachelor Nation. How is a contestant named Rose gonna do on The Bachelor? Is a little bit too on the nose. And I'll confess, I was sleeping on Rose. She was not in my original Final Four predictions, but she seems dope. And well, unfortunately for us, but fortunate for her, she actually self-eliminated, guys. She had this whole situation with Carolina. Carolina's heel turn is official. Apparently, Rose said that, I won't even run you through it. The issue is that they're both vying for Grant's heart, and there was a miscommunication. Rose, the babyface, is leaving the show. Carolina, the heel, is staying. My question for you guys is, how do you handle miscommunication in relationships? Like, when that moment happens, how do you make sure that it doesn't completely dissolve everything you built? Because in the case of Rose and Grant, it just dissolved, and Rose said, you know what? I don't need this. I'm out of here. Period. See you later. How do you guys handle that? Because I've also had the experience of one argument or one situation goes wrong, and then you never quite recapture, dare I say, that magic you had before. But what do I know? I'm just a 32-year-old single guy with the podcast. I want to defer to you two. George Romero, miscommunication. How do you handle this? You're happily married.
Yes, I am. Shout out, Tony. Potential first time Double or Nothing viewer with us. But we are, so I would say our communication's good. And I think the dynamic is no one argument is worth like truly winning, if that makes sense. You don't have to flaunt it in front of everyone. If you're wrong, you just kind of got to be the bigger person. Or sometimes communication is being able to kind of take a breath, where, yeah, we had a little bit of a altercation or some kind of fight, but sometimes it's as simple as, okay, I need to kind of breathe for like 30 minutes, kind of collect my thoughts, understand, like live with what you've said and let it marinate a little bit, and then come back to the table as like a bigger person. And that's on both sides. Like it does good for both of you, whether it's you believe you're in the right or you kind of understand, oh well, I wasn't really thinking from it in your perspective. It makes a little bit more sense now. Let's kind of come to a resolution there. So I think sometimes the key to communication is almost the absence of communication of I need to communicate that I need to take a breath or I need to step away for a minute.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Exactly that. Sometimes, I think my poison is that I overthink everything. And Tyler, I think you and I have talked about this a lot. I still don't believe it, but Jess, when she's upset, she'll let me know. And if she's not upset, I don't believe her. So she'll hit me, George, like, I don't know how it works with your relationship. So it'll be something like, so I'm not going to do that thing you wanted me to do, or I can't do that thing that you want me to do, or whatever it is. And they hit you with oh, that's okay. Now, I don't know what your reaction to that is. What's I'm just going to go with you. What is your reaction if Tony hits you with that's okay?
It's not okay.
Okay. So that is the cardinal rule, right? When Jess says it, she means it. And I still don't believe it. And we've had fights about how I don't believe it. And now she's mad at me for not believing her when she said it's okay. And now it's not. And it's my fault because she'll just straight up tell me. So like my miscommunication issues are always with not understanding that she's just going to tell the truth and be forward with her thoughts and feelings and just be like, hey, this is bothering me. Can you not? But then I also have a really terrible time of not getting defensive. So she'll bring something up to me and I'm immediately in fight mode. We'll call it ADD brain, because that's one of the things that happens there is everything is fight or flight all the time, because everything is a perceived threat. So our miscommunication comes from like mostly me not being able to process that she's just not lying, to somehow protect my feelings when she's just like, yeah, I'm good. Are you sure? Because you don't seem very good. Well, now I'm not. Oh, crap. And now
And then
we're
it just
fighting.
goes from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of like what we saw on Badge with Rose saying, oh, you know, Grant said he was thinking of me when he was on a date, and then Carolina told Grant, and then it just became this whole thing, and it completely soured Rose's relationship. But she said, you know what, I'm not here for the long run. Clearly, I'm going to head out, because it was never the same with Grant after that miscommunication.
Well, I got to tell you that, speaking of communication, I got a text after we started a Rose from one Jessica Winchester with an LOL. That was loud when I yelled at the production team. Now, guys, it was a long week. I have nothing written down because I couldn't tell you any of it. But what did we miss?
I got you. I'll get us kicked off. Speaking of Batch, I think Latia is clearly poised to win it all. She's definitely the front runner. More to come there. White Lotus episode 1, season 3 premiere was great. I learned that Patrick Schwarzenegger, Arnold's son, is on the cast, as is Leslie Bibb and some other familiar faces who I didn't realize. 2 other notes. The Ennings Festival in Tempe. It's an annual concert to coincide with spring training. Beck, Boys to Men, the Killers were all there. Apparently, tater tots cost $11, and 6 slices of cheese pizza cost $55 there. I was not in attendance. I'm just reporting you all what I heard, what the streets are telling me. There was also a Powerhouse concert at the Footprint Center, headlined by Glorilla, Sexy Red, NLE Choppa, and 310 Baby. I'm clearly not the target audience for these concerts anymore. And I'm completely okay with that. Finally, George, question for you in my final What Did We Miss update. WNBA, since we've last had you on, some major shakeups have occurred. Free agency, trades. Kelsey Plum is now playing for the LA Sparks. Jewel Lloyd is now on the Las Vegas Aces. Brittany Griner isn't on the Mercury anymore. She's in Atlanta. There's also the Unrivaled League, and how do they maintain momentum and viewership? So George, it's a what did we miss, but it's also a question for you before we get out of here. What are your thoughts on women's hoops right now?
It's in such a good spot, I think. Going forward, I think we're really seeing the league kind of like create titans of their own industry, because clearly Indiana's all in. Like the Fever are not messing around,
Maybe they
and
show up for
That's
double
a
or nothing.
yeah,
that's a Wand of
like
Honor pickup. Solid.
yeah, it's gonna be huge. And they also brought in Sophie Cunningham. Like they're going. I think they're gonna be a really like a force to reckon with in that league. And as far as like Unrivaled, the one-on-one tournament, that also needs to be added to the NBA All-Star Weekend. Like that would be dope. But
It would. It
yeah.
would. I wonder if too many egos would stop that from happening. But it would be a fantastic addition, George. I agree with you.
Mhm.
Anything else we missed? Pro wrestling, pop culture?
Um, I will say AEW Dynamite Collision really put on the women, like put on a show as far as women's wrestling. I had told you weeks before I was really looking forward to Megan Bain, Chris Stat. That match was amazing. La Catalina and Lady Frost was very good. I really think they did it up this time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
they absolutely did. George, it was great having you back. We know this won't be the last time. Brad, it was great seeing you as well on this edition, this very, very special edition. We hope you all had as much fun as we did. You can follow us at GIPod19 for exclusive show updates and more. Follow George at Niners94. That's Niners, Ninerz 94. And we thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.